We humans are immersed in a great ecological, social, political, and economic crisis. Everyone knows that. It is perceived every day. This crisis is also the triumph of models and systems that see nature as an infinite resource, models that seek only profit as an end, favoring the wealthy over the poor. However, this whole system is based on the idea that a piece of paper is worth something, and it does. This is because we created a collective belief that we can make these trades. In the same way we created this very powerful belief, we can also create other collective beliefs that make more sense in this century and take into account the never-before-seen risk of the extinction of our own species. Many scholars defend the idea that this moment we live in is a transition to a more collaborative and less selfish world, where people understand more deeply that there is no separation between the humankind and nature. All living beings are relational and part of the web of life. And that's why everything seems so chaotic and confusing now. That's because the models and associations we still use to see reality are linear and make no room for what is mystical and unexplainable. The last great revolution of Western thought was in the Enlightenment period, and the ways of thinking that were innovative at that time guide our institutions to this day. This intellectual movement took place in the 18th century, yes, a long time ago. It is as if our collective body realizes that it's time for change. John Locke, Adam Smith, Descartes, Bacon, and Newton. These were some of the pioneers of the Enlightenment. It is worth remembering, therefore, that all these thinkers were white and European men. But what is this mind shift about? We used to see the world as a machine, but now we are realizing that planet Earth is a living organism, just like us, humans. Everything is entangled. What underpins the idea of relating our institutions and systems to machines? Where does this thought come from? This way of thinking comes mainly from the Newtonian Cartesian paradigm, which arose at that time, which says that to know the whole, one needs to divide it into parts, and that the planet functions as a machine. And as a machine, it is assumed that parts can be replaced or repaired. This system of thinking led us to find short-sighted solutions to urgent problems, such as treating pain with medicine that causes several other pains, choosing a profession that in the short term gives you money, but in the long run makes you sick, or use plastic, because isolating other factors is the cheapest and most practical material, although it takes time to decompose and ends up in the stomach of a sea turtle. This chain of ideas, which excludes intuition, ancestral knowledge, and feeling, is limiting our experience and making us sick. Seeing the world within the paradigm of complexity, a view that began to develop in the last century, seems to be the key to question the logic of the system. How can we engage in making other ways of life possible? How can we open up our imagination so other ways of living can emerge? The transition must be collective, since everything is so interconnected. It demands a sense of unity. What affects me also affects the person on the other side of the world, no matter how small the impact might be. If progress depends on cutting more trees, we should go the other way. How are we going to hear the earth with deafening earphones? What do we not want to hear? If the system we live in is failing for so many of us, why do we still insist on it? If the earth is a living organism and we are all part of it, environmental crisis is a part of our failure as a species. How can other Earth stories emerge through us? We don't have much time. We need to listen to our planet. Only we can do that.